Hello, this is Vin4ART. Uh, Future videos, I'm going to be making a series, sort of, where I am covering the more technical aspects of Clip Studio Paint. This is more for either newer users or users who are just barely scratching the surface and like to know what is it the full potential that this program has for them. And this video, along with the next couple other videos, are going to be topics that were suggested by a fellow artist by the name of the Retro Wolf. I will plug their Instagram. I recommend that you really check out their stuff and give them a follow if you really enjoy it. Got good works. I see a lot coming out of this person. I want to cover three major things before I go into the actual meat of the subject, which is making your own brushes. And that is, I feel that we need to understand why is it that we feel it would behoove us to make our own custom brushes. Uh, and that's actually what I want to start with. Brings us to number one, why brushes may suck. Reason being that this may be the case, and I can only speak for myself, is because in many cases with programs, say Photoshop, like the hard round brush or the airbrush, they tend to be so perfect and digitized that we almost tend to avoid them. This was my case when I was making the transition from traditional drawing to digital drawing. When I had started school and we tried to draw in Photoshop, I tried to draw in Photoshop and it turned me off because of how perfect everything was. And I think all of that, while it may be true, it was more on my end. It was more on my end. When you have such a very when you have such a very, very pretty style of a brush, and this goes with any type of brush, you wouldn't know what to do with it, especially something so perfect. Is like what is there any room for you to make any types of mistakes or for it to feel organic? It doesn't feel organic. It also doesn't even look organic, and that's a given. Even when it comes to having the taper on, it's actually more pleasing to see something like that. But again, it's still a digital line that is designed and programmed to give you an adequate or an equal type of look, responding to how you, the artist, will be interacting with it. Which brings me to the second part, which answers the question, uh, which probably kills this one, and that is something that we all have to remember. Artists make the art, not the tools. If you're someone who has ever watched Mark Crilly video, and whenever he's speaking in terms of his tools, he will always stress that 80% of what makes great art, of being an artist, is you, and only 20% of it is your tools. You are going to be a skilled artist, ought to be able to make any type of artwork regardless of the tools that they use. It's something I've stuck true to, that I still believe to this day, and I will constantly tell others about that. That being said, there is a reason why he did not say that artists are 100% behind making good art. You also have to be comfortable with the tools that you use. You have to be very comfortable with it. It's kind of hard to make a tool when you're drawing with a mascara pencil, especially if you are someone who would much more prefer a harder, lighter type of pigment. And this brings us to here to our third tip with making the tools. This is the one you probably clicked on the most, that you clicked on for. And we have finally gotten there, and let's go about doing this. First things first, new program, new canvas, 10 by 10, 300 feet resolution. And we'll just make a brush, any brush. You can do this for any tool that you have, whether it be the pen, pencil, eraser, brush, airbrush, uh, the blur tool, even with patterns if you really wanted to. But for now, I'm just gonna cover the one of the brush pens, one of the pens, and these were actually how I made. And what I'm showing you is how I go about making my own brushes. Uh, just before I go any further, if you don't necessarily have to make an entirely new brush to do what I'm about to do, you can just go and take an existing brush, go into the properties, and fix up whatever you need to fix. The subtools such as the brush size, the inks, how much ink do you want to come out as you move it across the canvas? Do you want aliasing or anti-aliasing? What type of shape do you want it to come out if you were to make this brush? The different brush tips that you can register and put into these brushes to incorporate and put into your work. This is the main part that we're going to get into then when we make our work. Just to show you an example, here's one of the brush. I'm going to put in a square rectangle. And when I go in, I'll zoom in, the brush now has the shape of whatever I put in there. Now I can change up the density of the ink. I can change up the density, and it has more of the streak, and you'll have more of the inner parts of that shape that gives it that really cool effect. You can even have it respond to your pen pressure. You can tweak it however you wish. And it becomes a really cool painting tool. That's the more benefit of it using tools like this. You can go from having a really simple hard round brush to something that's more textured, more to your liking, and you can give all these crazy new textures even though it's not actually oil or acrylic paint. You can even add multiple brushes that you want to it. And it gives it that real cool look. You can even replace them. We'll go something more down here. It gives you that really nice, spongy, gouache, pixelated type of look. And that's how you go about customizing existing brushes. But what about making new brushes? Well, this is where the next step comes in. So first things first, with this brush, I'm going to take an already existing brush. And I'm going to make something that's actually really, take an existing brush, and we're going to make a duplicate. We're going to duplicate that brush. And we're going to name this brush New Brush, just to keep things simple. These other things are more for different, like cosmetics. You could change up the icon for the cursor, or you could change up the background colors to make it more distinct. I will change up the background color to help me distinguish from all my other regular pens. And here we go. Now, again, haven't done much with this brush. It's still the regular brush that I had before. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a new pattern. We're going to make a new brush tip to incorporate into the brush pattern. Now, let's see what type of brush we want to make. It really could be anything to your choice. This is where your imagination runs wild. And what type of brush, what type of line do you want to put? What type of mark do you want to put down on the canvas? What is it that you want to do that will help you with the painting or illustration that you're creating? So I'm just going to make a couple patterns and freestyle it. All right, so that's taken care of. These, maybe some more. And let's say this is the brush shape that we want, that we really want to put and make into a brush tip. So here's what we'll do. We're going to close off that, we're going to toggle off that back layer, and we're going to go up into edit. We're then going to hit, hover over register material, and what we want to register it as image. Here it is. We're going to name that brush also again, but we're also going to name it New Brush again, just to be simple. Before we go any further, you also want to make sure that you have this selected, because we are making a new brush tip shape. Then we'll go here, all locations, image material, because we are registering an image. Go down to brush, and you have that selected. Here is just a search tag for however you want to search or classify it. It's just like any other hashtag that you will find on any site, whether it be a DeviantArt, YouTube, where you have in the description hashtag as a way to filter out what is it that you're looking for, but on a more smaller scale. I don't need to do this, so okay. That's done. We're going to click this back on, hide that layer, create a new layer, and we're going to go back to our new brush. This is the new brush. Now, the size pressure sensitivity is already on. But this is where we go back to the tool setting right here. We go here and we click. And that's where all the brushes show up as we did before, I had showed you earlier. We're going to look up for new brush. We found new brush. We're going to select it. And now that brush has that tip. Now it doesn't look like it. It really doesn't. But when you draw it, it sort of does. Let's do it slower. Now, I don't know if you saw that, but there was a shape that came off that shows that the brush is active. If it was just a regular brush, it would just be a semicircle. Now, how do we change it to make it more distinct? This is where we go back through all the settings. This is where stroke comes in. And what stroke does, it basically spaces out the brush tip in which you use. As if you ever used Photoshop before, then you know that these brushes are bitmap set. They will give you the texture that they need. They're not entirely perfect, and you can space out the brush tips, gaps as much as you want. This is the other one. Go back to our new brush, and we will space it out as such. Now look at that cool effect. We can also have it switch up directions. As of right now, it's going in the direction of wherever we're going, which is the direction of the line. However, this right here, you can change to the direction of the axis of the pen or the direction of the pen, which means it will always stay the same on the same shape as it is. Spread out the gap as much as you want for the stroke. It all depends on what is it you're looking for. You can also add in a spraying effect where it does exactly what it says. It disperses your brush tips into tiny little particles, giving it an airbrush spraying effect. As it says, particle size you can always shrink or make it grow bigger, and it looks like something like this. When you come to doing things like this, the imagination is just, the possibilities are endless when it comes to the brushes that you ever want to make. You could never say that you don't have the right brush, because you could always make what you consider the right brush. That's how I was able to make my brush sets, and I put it up online for a low price. And one last thing before I finish off here, if you wanted to do the same thing that I did, and that is basically share a bunch of your brushes, either to put online to share or to sell, however you wish to do it. Very simple and easy. You right click on the brush that you made, you hit export tool brush. You can rename it, locate it to wherever you want it to go, and once that's done, you can hit save, and you can share it to whoever you wish to share. That is how you go about making your brushes, customizing your brushes, and even importing and even exporting your brushes. The only other thing, which I assume should be an easy one, but I feel I should add it in. Any new brushes that you have, if you have come across new brushes for Clip Studio Paint, all you need to do is open up the window, download it, open up the window, and manually drag the brush set that you have into wherever you wish to go. It could be in pen, pencil, anywhere you wish to be. It's all up to you, it's all up to taste, and all up to what you want your artwork to pertain. This has been customizing brushes, and if there's anything else that you would like for me to cover, just feel free to mention it in the description below, and I'll be sure to cover it sometime later down the line. With that being said, thank you for watching. This has been Vin4ART.